The Winnipeg Jets cleaned out their dressing room Thursday. Connor Hellebuyck spoke about his performance in the first round against Colorado.
For Connor Hellebuyck.
You're probably not going to believe when I say I was playing the best hockey in my career, but that's truly how I was feeling. And not only was I playing some of my best hockey, but I was in that zone where you're not thinking, you're just playing. And that's what you seek after. That's a dangerous thing in sports. And to not be able to keep 4 goals off the board, it's heartbreaking. It really is heartbreaking. I mean, you got to give them some kudos for what they did, but looking back, I don't know if I even saw half of the pucks go in the net. Specifically, Game 4, the afternoon game, I was, if you ask Marty, laser focused. From the second I woke up, I was ready to steal a game. And this kind of was my mindset going into every single game, but especially in Game 4. And when I got pulled, to give me more rest, it was like a flood of emotions that I had suppressed all series long, and that was the realization that I can't do this alone.
Head coach Rick Bowness briefly addressed his future. He's heading into the final season of a 3-year deal, which is a team option.
I'll talk to Chipper and Chevy. I know what I'm going to do. I know what I want to do, but that'll come out.
Okay, so in a perfect world, you're back?
We'll let you know.
I love the smile. He's so sly.
He's a good man.
Yeah. Everyone loves him. Everyone loves this guy, too. Darren Dreger, our hockey insider. So, what can you tell us about the future of Rick Bowness in Winnipeg?
Well, and obviously, Jay, that's the big question, right? And the assembled media wanted to know and find out today whether or not, they could expect the veteran head coach to be back on the bench with the Winnipeg Jets. My gut tells me that that's unlikely. I don't think that Rick Bowness will be back. I don't know that for sure. But I do take stock of the season that it's been. I mean, this man is as deeply invested as any coach that I can remember. No different this year. But he also had family issues that he had to pay attention to. His wife Judy went through a tough time. He had the leave of absence to look after Judy. He had his own health issues near the end of the regular season. 2 things I know about Rick Bowness. 1, priority. Top of the list is his family. And 2, he loves to coach. In this case, I think that the family is going to win out. He's going to slide back into retirement. Again, unofficial, we'll see. But what a way to go out. I mean, he has to be in the Jack Adams conversation. Mm-hmm. That's the job that Rick Bowness did this year in Winnipeg.
And, it's interesting to hear Connor Hellebuyck's comments. He can't do it alone. It was an eventful offseason last year in Winnipeg. How eventful is it going to be this offseason in Winnipeg?
Yeah, I mean, there'll be changes. Just organically, there'll be changes. I mean, you look at the unrestricted free agent list in Winnipeg. What's going to happen with Sean Monahan, who was acquired from the Montreal Canadiens? What about Tyler Toffoli, who came in from the New Jersey Devils? That stuff will look after itself. But then you take stock of what you've got. And it was interesting. There wasn't a lot of attention paid to the core of the Winnipeg Jets as part of the media availability. And that's what I'm most interested in. Again, to analyze maybe some of the weakness, I look at the top 4 defense of the Jets, and that feels like an area that Kevin Cheveldayoff, the GM, is going to want to try and improve. But here's a news flash for you, Jay. Unless you draft those pieces, they're incredibly hard to acquire. Winnipeg struggles when it comes to convincing unrestricted free agents to come into the small market. So how do you acquire that piece? And that's where I think it's going to get interesting. Does Cheveldayoff use, say, a forward like Nikolai Ehlers, who will go into his final year of his contract, as a trade asset to acquire that defense? So I'm not saying that's going to happen either. It's just, I think those are the conversations hockey operations has to have in Winnipeg to move forward.
I'll say this, Dregs. Judging by the number of LA Kings fans who want Pierre-Luc Dubois' contract bought out after the first round series against the Oilers.
It's quite a trade.
Not a bad trade. So take that W, Winnipeg. Take that W. Okay, let's go back to that tweet that we brought up briefly.
Yeah.
Drake sent out this tweet earlier this week. Rod Brind'Amour's future as Carolina's coach is up. This is so fascinating to me. This is a guy that the players love to play for, but
Yeah.
Tom Dundon, the owner in Carolina, does things so differently. Is there any update on this situation as it stands? Brind'Amour, will he stay in Carolina or could he move on?
No, I think Rod Brind'Amour is going to stay in Carolina, but no different than some of the high-level negotiations that you've had with your contract here at TSN. Things can turn, right, with a phone call or publicity. So, I sent out the tweet and acknowledged the fact that really this negotiation was stalled. It wasn't going anywhere. And in fact, ownership of the Carolina Hurricanes, as I tweeted, removed the offer from the table. Well, that goes public, and there's backlash around Hurricanes fans. I can appreciate that. There's interest from clubs who are in the market for coaches and teams that are still in the playoffs who may consider making a coaching change or intrigued. I mean, what if Rod Brind'Amour actually is available on the open market? Well,
and there's so much talk about Seattle, right? And Ron Francis and that connection. Right?
Toronto, I mean, go down the list of the possibilities here. So wisely, Carolina decided, okay, we're not going to poke the bear here. And they've re-engaged, and I don't think Rod is going anywhere, but they still have to get some things ironed out.
That's fair to say, and I think if you're a Canes fan, that's music to your ears for sure. Speaking of coaches, a lot of interesting talk over the past week, Dregs, about a couple of super high-profile coaches potentially maybe being on their way out of their current situations. You got Mike Sullivan in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
You've got John Cooper going in the final year of his deal in Tampa. Can you tell us anything about those two coaches? Is it actually a possibility that they could potentially move on?
Well, only in the sense that it's media speculation, right?
Right.
Julien Brisebois, the general manager of the Tampa Bay Lightning, acknowledged, the future of John Cooper there and said, look, he still has term left on his contract. So I think this, again, is more media fodder than it is anything else. Can we appreciate why John Cooper might be thinking about what his future is? I mean, he's done great things with the Tampa Bay Lightning, but they still have a lot more to give there. So it's not just Cooper, it's Stamkos. What are they going to do with Hedman? Brisebois addressed those things to the media. Now you look at Mike Sullivan and the Pittsburgh Penguins. And again, I can understand why the connection is made there. Tom Fitzgerald, the general manager of the New Jersey Devils, is good friends with Mike Sullivan. And Mike Sullivan is a highly decorated coach. And, the New Jersey Devils are in that situation. Do they retain Travis Green? Do they look for maybe a bit more experience? But I can tell you the Penguins brass recognize that Mike Sullivan is a strong development coach as well. So they're going through a transition in Pittsburgh. Anything is possible, but it feels unlikely that he leaves.
So we've got Game 6 between the Canucks and Nashville Predators on Friday, and I don't know if you saw this, Dregs, at practice for the Canucks on Thursday. Things are light. All right, JT Miller keeping it light, wearing Arturs Shilov's pink dress shirts as a jersey at practice. This is the kind of thing you need in a first-round series.
Is it fair for Shilovs to be mocked like that with his shirt?
Oh, yeah. I didn't do it. I don't know. It's not a question for me.
What do you think of the shirt?
Well, I mean, he's got to know better. He's not in nightclub in the Riga, Latvia. So.
It's not. I think he's been to a few nightclubs in Riga, Latvia. But I love how loose these guys are, right? There's a lot of pressure on this Canucks team going into Nashville.
For sure there is. And you look at the leadership of the Vancouver Canucks, JT Miller. I mean, this guy is wound so tight, right? He is.
Yeah.
When you think of the term head of the snake, well, that's what JT Miller is. So the fact that the leadership group would kind of take a little bit of the pressure off the rest of the group by doing something as harmless but in good taste and in good humor.
Yeah.
I mean, they're just trying to lighten things up, that's all.
Yeah. Nightclubs in Riga, Latvia. You've probably been to a few of them, Dregs.
I have not. I've been to a few in Europe, but not in Latvia.
Not in Latvia. I'll talk to Archie
Copenhagen is pretty nice.
Oh, we'll talk to Nick Ehlers about that. Edmonton waiting to find out who they'll play. We'll see if that Canucks can wrap up that series with Nashville on Friday night.